We're going to take a look at the very last lesson we have for the unit. We're going to take a look at horizontal and vertical lines. We need to take a look at what their slopes are, so that way you know when you're calculating a slope if it's a horizontal or vertical line instantly just from the slopes. And then the other thing is sometimes you're given a graph of a horizontal or vertical line, and then you have to either come up with the equation for that line, or you have to match it up to the correct equation from multiple choice type settings. So we'll take a look at that after we're used to finding the slopes. So let's take a look at this line right here. It's a horizontal line, and the thing I'd like us to do is I'd like us to find the slope from these ordered pairs. So let's see, this is at -3, +4, and this one is at 1, 4. So, you know, if we gave you just the ordered pairs, and we said go find the slope of it, you know it's y minus y over x minus x. And what you would find is that you would get 0, you know. So anytime that you get a slope of 0, it's going to be horizontal. Please, please, please remember that. Horizontal lines have slopes of 0. Now, when we take a look at vertical lines, let's go through and do this one. This one is also 1, 4, and this one is at 1, -1. What happens is that you would get 5 over 0, and it's this 0 right here that causes problems. Whenever you try to divide something by 0, you'll get an error. And so on your calculator, it'll say undefined error. Okay? But basically, what we would say is that is undefined. Okay? And what undefined means is that there is no slope. It's a vertical line. It's just going up and down. It's not going any left or right. Now, the other thing I'd like to take a look at what the slope is this. For horizontal lines, you get 0 on top, and then you get a different number on the bottom, but the 0 is on top, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So you always get that 0 answer for the slope. The other thing is that you'll notice that the y values are exactly the same on horizontal lines. And because the y values are the same, that's what gets you the 0 on top. When we take a look at vertical lines, it's the x values that are exactly the same, and that gets you the 0 value on the bottom. And when you get a 0 on the bottom, that's an undefined, that's an error. So vertical lines have a slope that's undefined. Horizontal lines have a slope that's 0. Now, the next thing that we need to look at is how do we go find the equations for these lines if they're horizontal or vertical. If they're vertical lines, it's always going to start with an x, then there's the equal sign always, and then you'll see where did it cross on the x-axis. And in this case, it's a +1, so x equals 1 is the equation for a vertical line. So when we take a look at this one, this is a vertical line. So that means it's going to be crossing the x-axis guaranteed. So there's the x-axis. Where's it cross at? Right here at -2. So x equals -2 is the equation for this vertical line. Now, horizontal lines, it's always going to cross the y-axis. So horizontal lines always start with y equals, and then where does it cross? In this case, it's -3, so it's y equals -3. Same thing here. Where does it cross the y-axis? Well, crosses right there at the origin, which is 0, so y equals 0. Let's go through and recap. Horizontal slope is always 0, you know, and vertical slope is always the official line of that is undefined. But on your calculator, it would say like error. Okay. Now, equations for horizontal lines, you know, where do they cross the y-axis at? So it's y equals, in this case, -1. And equations for vertical lines, x equals, where's it cross at? Positive 2. Think about this. Vertical lines go up and down. It makes you think of the y, and so you just use the opposite. Horizontal lines, left and right like the x-axis. What's opposite of that? It's the y. So you kind of got to do this backwards intuitiveness as far as how you start out these equations. A little bit of practice, you'll be good.